If your child has ever had an epic meltdown in a public place and you wonder to yourself, what could I have done differently? Then this video is for you. I was recently traveling, I was in an airport, and it was getting to be near the time to board the plane, and it was crowded, it was hot, everybody was carrying more than they should have been. And there was this one family with this one young child who was having that epic meltdown. And it was a masterclass in parenting, both in what works and what doesn't work. I want to share this story and unpack the powerful lessons about validation, control, emotion regulation, and why going with your child is usually the game changer. We'll break down how to stay calm, we know why it matters, how validation works, and why sometimes, well, most of the time, the best way to handle a meltdown is to stop fighting and start flowing with it. Here's what went down. They were announcing pre-boarding, and suddenly this mass of people started shifting toward the entryway, even though it wasn't time for any of them to get on. There was a mom there, standing there with her two girls, one of whom was clearly upset. She was crying and wailing, and her eyes were dripping, her nose was dripping. We've all been there, right? Here's what went down. They announced it was time to pre-board, and this giant mass of people started moving toward the entryway, even though it wasn't time for any of them to get on the plane. And there was this one mom, she was standing there with her two daughters, and one of them was crying and trying to get her attention and asking for something. And at first, the mom was patient and trying to soothe her daughter, but as time went on, I could see she was starting to fray at the edges, as many of us would. Eventually, she lost her cool. She said to her daughter firmly and loudly, "Stop." And we know what happened then, right? The tension escalated. The daughter went from crying to wailing and hitting and throwing things, and it was hard to watch. Not because the mom was doing anything wrong, but because I could feel her frustration and helplessness. Thankfully, the dad came back from wherever he had been, and he sat down next to his daughter and started singing softly to her. He didn't address the behavior directly, and he didn't try to get her to stop crying. Instead, he validated the child's feelings with his calm presence and words like, "I know it's hard, honey. I know you're doing the best you can." Within minutes, his daughter started to calm down, cry a little less loudly. She was still dripping from everywhere, but she eventually just leaned right into him. So lesson 1 is validation over control. When mom told the daughter to stop in a loud and firm voice, look, I get it, it's tempting, I'm not being critical here, but when we try to assert control over our children, when they don't have control over their own emotions, it's not likely to lead to the outcome we want. When they feel seen and heard, it's much more likely that they will be able to reset their own emotions, and that's why the dad's calm presence in this case help the daughter. Validation isn't about agreeing with the behavior, it's about recognizing the emotion behind it. It helps to be able to validate when we shift our perspective to recognize that our child isn't acting out on purpose to be difficult, they're acting out because they're overwhelmed. Lesson 2 is for us to regulate ourselves first. Easier said than done, I know, and it takes a lot of practice, but it's so worth it. One dysregulated person can't regulate another. So we need to allow our children to borrow our calm. When we come in hot and try to assert that control, we know that escalation is going to happen. And of course, this airport is the perfect setting to use this analogy because on the airplane, they always say to put your own oxygen mask on first. It's the same idea. We have to regulate ourselves first in order to help regulate our children. I'm going to mention some strategies to stay calm. And I used to roll my eyes at these too, so before you roll your eyes, just listen for a sec, okay? First, you're interrupting the habit of trying to get your child to stop the behavior in public. That's what you're really doing. So taking a deep breath, I know, roll your eyes, but try it, okay? Take a deep breath. Also I like a good mantra, like she's not doing this on purpose, she's doing the best she can, I need to calm myself first. Whatever mantra works to help you interrupt that impulse to tighten up and try to assert control can help you regulate first so you can regulate your child. Lesson 3 is go with the child. What the dad did so beautifully here is he did not resist the meltdown. He met his daughter where she was by singing to her, and by meeting her there, he was able to guide her gently toward calm. When we push back against them when they're in meltdown mode, it almost always backfires. What they need is to help regulating their emotions, and what we're doing instead is we're risking escalating that tension. So by meeting them where they are, whether it's through singing or sitting with them quietly or just showing empathy, it helps to diffuse the tension. So just a quick recap. Watching this family at the airport was a powerful reminder that validation calms the storm, that our emotions shape theirs, and that going with the child helps them feel safe enough to regulate. So next time you're in a rough parenting spot, ask yourself, am I trying to control or connect? Am I resisting or am I meeting my child where they are? And look, I always tell parents, we're going to face these moments and we're going to mess up, and it's okay. We're humans, we're humaning, right? And this is just to give you some tools to work on, to practice, so that you can have fewer of those moments. I'd love to hear in the comments if you have an experience or a moment that you could share where you might be able to use these tools. Does your child always melt down at the supermarket? Do they melt down at an airport? I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, I hope you like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.